All right, everybody, the month of February is here. It is officially February, okay? It's crazy how time flies. And you know, for at least for where I'm at in the Southeast, it's been a little bit of a warmer, overall, I feel like a warmer winter. You know, water temperatures are 48 to 52 degrees. You know, it could even creeping up into 54, 55 in a lot of areas around my house. It's just, you know, depending on the warm days, it just sort of creeps up a little bit more and it's back to pockets and stuff like that. So I have a couple lures that I think are going to really do well in the month of February. And I don't know what the long-term forecast is. It could go frigid on me and I could be completely thrown off by this. But I'm going to give you guys a rundown of what exactly I'm sort of thinking and what this is going to do to the bass fishing. Let's jump into it right now.
Let's go.
We're here in Mexico. We are in the Dominican Republic. So I'm going to tell you a couple different tips that have helped me over the years.
Wow! Unbelievable! Jacob Wheeler makes history!
Okay, so first off, I'm gonna pick a bait that I don't think I've had in my top 5 ever. Just because I've just had things that have been in there, and it's one that just sort of gets overlooked a lot of times. Obviously, it's very popular in the Ozarks region, Highland reservoirs, but it's a crankbait that just catches them hands down up all the time. And that's just a wigglewort, OG Storm wigglewort. I do swap my hooks out. These are I believe these are number 5 short shank VMC hybrids. You know, there's a lot of different colors. There's the phantom brown color, there's phantom greens, there's a lot of different, but typically crawl colors. So water clarity will be a little more stained in your area. It's gonna be, you know, that more of that, you know, red crawl. Typically that's what this bait is imitating so well. And the whole key with this technique is to be bumping the bottom. You know, 45-degree banks to steeper banks, like bluffy banks, is sort of what I'm looking for when I'm throwing that crankbait right there. You know, I've caught them, you know, just down flatter banks as well. Don't get me wrong, pea gravel banks, a lot of different things. But overall, in those steeper banks this time of year, typically those fish slide up and down on those a little bit easier than, you know, maybe in March when it starts to, you know, the bank type starts to slope a little bit differently. Now, I'm not saying you can't catch them doing it, but I'm just saying that that's sort of what I recommend. You know, on this one, I'm throwing 10 pounds Subject Advanced fluorocarbon, a 7-foot medium action cranking rod. And, you know, this one's actually a little bit more parabolic and a little bit wimpier than limber than a lot of the cranking rods I used to throw, but I just think it just gets them, especially with that crankbait. It just does well. And I tend to go on a slower gear ratio. I think the biggest mistake a lot of anglers make when they're fishing a crankbait is they fish it too fast. You crank a crankbait down there, you get it to the bottom, and then you slow crank that crankbait down there. You gotta imagine every rock you're going over, and you gotta imagine a bass, how he's following it. So you're reeling it, stopping it, pulling it. That's sort of what I would recommend. Trying that, you know, casting one, you catch plenty of them. I've caught plenty of them doing that, but there's something to you know, reel, stop, or a pull. Once you hit the bottom contact is key this time of year, and so that's what I would recommend. So that's number 1. Number 2 on my list is old school spinnerbait. This one right here is an accent spinnerbait. You can see it's been beat up against some rocks. It's actually been beat up. I was casting it, just sort of playing around this winter time, getting ready for the season. This one right here is Spring Ding, and it's a 1/2 ounce. You know, I just like that combination overall. You know, you hear the red kicker blade or orange kicker blade this time of year is really good. If you get a warmer day when those fish are sliding up a little bit shallower, this is when I'm going to pick up that spinnerbait. You know, you get a lot of rain. We have had some rain, and some areas of the lakes are definitely more stained. That's when you can pick up spinnerbait fishing around, you know, lay downs, wood, rock, back halves of creeks where the water's a little more stained. That's something that I think, I actually was talking with I was actually talking with MDJ about this, and I said, the spinnerbait's the most underrated bass fishing bait, tournament fishing bait there is right now in this day and age. So that's the one I throw a lot of times. I have multiple different ones. I'll throw a 3/4, I throw a 1 ounce. But overall, if I'm fishing shallow and the fish are up there pretty shallow, that's the one I'm gonna throw. 1/2 ounce, a good standard size. Sort of just transition, muddier the water, you know, I'll get more thump, whether single Colorado or something like this, has more flash, has more thump, or if it's a little bit cleaner, then I'll throw a double willow. So that's what it has. This is 20-pound line right here, 20-pound fluorocarbon. You can throw monofilament on this particular technique, but it's not going to be like the end of the world if you throw like monofilament. Like you're maybe like, we'll just have a little bit less feel, but So don't feel like you have to throw fluorocarbon. That's just personally what I throw. 20-pound Suffix fluorocarbon right there. 6:8 to 1 gear ratio reel. That's personally what I like, because again, slowing me down. Water temperature is still cold, fish are lethargic. That's a good spinnerbait to catch them on. And it's definitely one that I would recommend. Number three, we're up to number 3. Let's see here. Right here is, I've had this on several times, and this is a 3.5-inch Largo shad right here on a 7-foot medium heavy signature series rod. It catches them. If you're in a clear water situation, single swim baits, catch them a lot of times. And this is actually like a hybrid, VMC hybrid swim bait jig head. Does really well, has a Sprout style hook, has a screw lock in it. So that, I mean, that combination right there, I can catch 10 bass on it before I have to swap it out, because it has a screw lock in it. And then it ultimately has, you know, it has a screw lock, and the actual Largo shad is just really good and durable. They just came out with a 3.5-inch. I've always done the 3, I've done the 4. You guys see me throw that a lot. I like to throw it on a bait caster with 12-pound line overall. And this is sort of just a good thing with your water clarity, you know, flatter points, in the middle of guts and like ditches, you know, if it's a little bit deeper, if the fish are deeper and you feel like they're a little bit deeper, fishing it over brush if you're in a boat, stuff like that's pretty good. Oh, now them geese are running around. Be messing around. Birdie missed him completely. He heard him, but he missed him. This is the thing. If Justin Martin saw that, he'd be like, bah, 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 bah. Hey, Jay Martin, maybe not the geese. I don't know if he's a big goose hunter, but I think he would definitely, he'd be up for it. Anyway, so that swim bait has caught a lot of fish for me, and it's one that's, again, a little bit under the radar, but that's brand new size, and I had that in the last month, but I just think it's a good one to have in there, just standard, easy. You gotta have it. Okay, so number 4, I had this last month as well, because I just gotta have it. Okay, jerkbait. Water clarity is a little bit cleaner. You have to have a jerkbait. I put that little flash on the front of my jerkbait. This time of year, you can have your jerkbait just actually slow sinking. But really the key is it's got to be deeper than 10 feet. You can have a slow sinking jerkbait in 10 foot and deeper, but if you're fishing 3, 4, 5 feet, you really want to make sure your jerkbait is actually suspending. That's a really important part. So just remember that, put that in the back of your memory bank, and just pay attention to what your jerkbait is doing, because that's going to really ultimately generate more bites. If your jerkbait is hitting the bottom, typically you're not going to be getting bites. You need that action of that. That jerkbait needs room. Completely different from a crankbait. The crankbait is basically has the action and triggers the bite when it's actually hitting the bottom. A jerkbait is ultimately twitching all around, and the erratic action of it being up in the water column is what triggers the bass into biting. So that's why I picked the jerkbait up. It works well. This one's Leisha's going to go stop and get some pizza. We had some friends over this week, and getting ready to, obviously be tournament season, so we're gonna go get some pizza, have a little, I think there's a big game tomorrow. I don't know, I think there is. Anyway, so obviously Shadow Rap Deep is one of my favorites. There's Shadow Rap, normal Shadow Rap is like a little bit shallower runner, but they do tend to slow sink, so you're gonna have to go lighter hooks, if you want to go real light hooks. But there's a lot of good shallow running jerk baits and deeper running jerk baits. I personally like this one a lot. It works well, and I've caught a lot of fish. It actually has like a lot of teeth marks on it. You guys can't see that right now, but it has. Caught plenty. Okay, last but not least. Sorry, I gotta come up with a game plan here. Last. I don't think you've seen this one on the channel either. This is like a, I'm bringing out my inner DC in a way, okay? Or you could say Casey Ashley. You could say a lot of people. The Casey Ashley, I'd say more so. What am I picking? Shaky head. That's right. Come on, shake 'em head. Okay, now, this is the thing. I've thrown a shaky head quite a bit over the years, but a shaky head does get bites. It's really, again, I think I'm saying this all over, I'm being like consistently, but I feel like it is a bait that's getting overshadowed by Nikos and new finesse tactics, right? Shaky head just catches them, still does. If you're in clear water, it's obviously great. In stained water, it's really good. It works well around brush and stuff like that. Works really decent around rocky banks. If the water's down on your body of water, that's a great bait to throw. You could throw it about anywhere. This one's actually, I believe this is actually Casey Ashley shaky head. I'm always playing around with like different types of jig heads to try to understand, like, okay, is this one better? Is that one better? But drop me a comment below if you're a shaky head fisherman. I want to know what shaky head you throw. I'm just sort of tinkering around with it. I want to sort of know my shaky head fishermen out there. Let me know. You know, as far as worm size, there's finesse worms. This one's like a 6-inch, you know, worm right here, 6-inch little fat rope, you know, fat worm. Works well. Typically color-wise, I keep it pretty simple. Green pumpkin. I mean, you start there, and if you got to go somewhere else, you know, if water's cleaner, you can go to watermelon candy or watermelon, or if the water's dirtier, throw, you know, a little bit darker something, like a June bug or black and blue, something like that. So, but overall, it just catches them. I do throw this, actually, this is my 7.2 medium heavy, but it's more of like a medium plus, and I've told you guys that a lot. It has more of a parabolic bend, has more backbone though, so it's really not like a real wimpy rod. It's just a good overall rod that just flat out catches them. So, anyway. That is my top 5 for the month of February. You guys know I always go over on my 5, and so this month I'm keeping it to 5. That's it. That's all you get. We'll see you on the next one.